Hi guys, so this is 6b, which is division of polynomials. The reason we're actually doing this is as I've got written down up here. So long division is going to help us factorize polynomials of 3 or more degree. So that means your cubics are x to the power 3, quartics x to the power 4, and going onwards, x to the power of 100 if you want to. There's no way we're going to get up to that number, but it will work for any polynomial. So what I want to show you, like, this isn't too important just yet, but it is going to be soon. But I wanted to show you a little bit earlier. So I'm just trying to kind of compare normal numbers to what we're doing with polynomials over this side, but just forget this bit for a second. Let's just look over here. With the number 30, you can choose whatever number you want, really, but we can take the factors of 30, or just a couple of factors of 30, which is 6 and 5. So I've kind of broken 30 up into 2 of its factors. But then if you look at 6 and 5, you can also break 6 up into a couple of different factors. So that's now turned into 2 times 3 times 5. So all of these things, they're just different ways to write 30, aren't they? So that's pretty much exactly the same thing as what's going on over here. It just looks a little bit more complicated. What hopefully you can see right now is that you have an expanded version up the top here, which is kind of the same as that, and you've got a factorized version down here, which is the same as that. Through long division, what we're going to be able to do is get from this version all the way down to that version there. So don't worry about this too much at the moment. We're just going to learn the process of how you actually do long division of polynomials, but we're definitely going to come back to this sort of stuff. But if you can get your head around this right now, it might make life a little bit easier later, and I wanted to give you a little bit of context. Okay, so let's have a go now. So it's told us that we need to divide this by this, and I've written down some steps here that we can use to do so. Now this process can be reasonably hard. It can get a bit confusing, but once you go through it a few times and memorize the steps, it is going to kind of click a little bit, but you're just going to have to bear with me at the start. It is quite hard. All right, so the first thing we want to do is just set up how we're going to do our work. So we want to divide this one, so I'm going to write that first. X squared plus 7x plus 11. And we're dividing it by x minus 2. So the thing that you're dividing it by, you're actually going to put over here. X minus 2. Put this in here. You might remember that when you're doing long division of normal numbers. And what's going to happen is we're going to end up having our answer up here. All right, so we've set up our work. Let's start following these steps here. Now it says divide the first term of the numerator by the first term of the denominator. Let's just work out which one's which. So if we're dividing, this one would be up the top, so it's a numerator. This one's down the bottom. So I'm just going to put a little n and d there, just so we know which one's which if we're referring to our steps. So this one's the numerator, and this one here is the denominator. Alright, so it says divide the first term of the numerator, which is x squared, by the first term of the denominator, which is x. Okay, so that means we're doing x squared divided by x, and we're putting that in the answer, and the answer goes up here. So x squared divided by x gives us x. So I'm going to put my x up here. We've done step 1. Step 2, multiply the denominator, so the denominator's here, by that answer. Okay, so when we do that, we need to put it down here as well. So I'm firstly going to go, okay, x times x, that gives me x squared. Should put that there. And then I'm going to do x times minus 2, which is minus 2x. Awesome, so that's step 2 done. Now something that hopefully you can notice is this x squared here is the same down there. These two are always going to be the same. If you work something out and put it here and it's not the same as that, you've made a mistake somewhere. Okay. All right, now let's look at step 3. Subtract to find a new polynomial. So what that means is we're taking this section here, so this line, away from that line above. So I'm gonna put a little line in here. You don't necessarily have to do that, but we have x squared minus x squared gives us 0. I'll put my 0 down there. You're always going to end up having a 0 there. And we also have 7x minus negative 2x. So that's the same as 7x plus 2x. So that's going to give us plus 9x. Now don't worry about this 11 at the moment in terms of subtracting. The 11 comes down and joins this term here. Cool, so we've done all of our 3 steps. Now it's telling us to repeat. So instead of using what we had up here, this is now what we're focusing on. Okay, so let's go back to step 1. So this is our new numerator. Divide the first term of the numerator, which is 9x, by the first term of the denominator, which is x. So 9x divided by x is 9. There we go, plus 9. So we've done step 1 again. We're up to step 2. Multiply the denominator, which is this here, by that answer. Put this below the numerator. Okay, so we're going to take this 9. We're going to times it by both of these. So 9 times x is 9x. 9 times minus 2 is negative 18. Cool. We've done step 2. Now we're up to step 3 again. Subtract to find the new polynomial. So we're going to take this one away from that one. Okay, so 9x minus 9x is 0. Yes, we have our 0. Perfect. 11 minus negative 18. Okay, so 11 plus 18. Is that plus 29? Guys, I'll get you to pause it just for a second. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I made a mistake there, but I think I'm all good. Yeah, so that gives us plus 29 down here. Now we can't really do a whole lot with this 29. That's actually our remainder. Okay, so if we divide this by this, our answer is up here, and this is our remainder. So we could actually say that our answer is x plus 9 plus 29 on x plus 9. Okay, so this is kind of showing what your answer is and your remainder as well. Not all of them are going to have remainders, but this one here does. Okay, so let's go down and try that one again. Okay, so something that I want to show you with this here is, see how it has x to the power of 3, then x to the power of 2, but then it doesn't have any x to the power of 1? You need to make sure you do write that x to the power of 1, even though there isn't really one, and I'll show you how to do that. If you don't do that, there's going to end up being a mistake in there. So let's set this one up the same way as we set this one up. Okay, so we've got our x to the power of 3, we've got our x squared. There isn't any just x to the power of 1 there, but I need to have that x to the power of 1. So I'm going to make it 0 x to the power of 1. If you don't put that 0x in, it's going to stuff up. You're not going to get the right answer. So make sure you're doing that. Okay, so we're doing the same thing with those same steps. This one might take a little bit longer because we have x to the power of 3, so we're going to be doing it more times, whereas this one here, we only had x to the power of 2. Alright, so I'm not going to keep referring to these steps up here, so you might like to write them down on your page and then keep on going back and forth. Okay, so we need to take this term here and divide it by that one there, so that's going to give us 2x squared. Right, now you've got that answer up the top, you need to times that answer by each of these terms here. So 2x squared times x is 2x to the power of 3. Then you need to do it by that one as well, so 2x squared times 2 is 4x squared. Sweet, so now you've done that, it's time for you to do your subtraction. So 2x to the power of 3 minus 2x to the power of 3 is 0. X squared minus 4x squared is negative 3x squared. And then we're bringing down our next term, which is that 0, so plus 0x. Okay. So here's our new kind of, numerator, and we need to divide this by that here. So negative 3x squared divided by x is going to be negative 3x. Once you've got that answer up the top, we're timesing it by both of those again. So negative 3x times x. Negative 3x times 2. And now we subtract. Okay, so negative 3x squared minus negative 3x squared. So that's negative 3x squared plus 3x squared, which is 0. You're always getting your 0 there. Then we have 0x minus a minus plus 6x. And we need to bring our last term down. Plus 12. Alright, so now we're up to the start again, and this is what we're looking at, this part and this part. So 6x divided by x is 6. We need to take this 6 and now times by both of these. So 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 2 is 12. Now it's time for us to subtract. Okay, so 6x minus 6x is 0. 12 minus 12 is 0. So we have no remainder down here. Okay, so this is our answer. And no remainder at all. Now there's something important that you need to recognize now, and we're going to talk about it in the next few lessons as well, is that if the remainder is 0, I'm going to write this down, if the remainder is 0, the divisor is a factor of the polynomial we're dividing. So because the remainder of 0 is 0, this is a factor of that. Because the remainder is 0, this is a factor of that, sorry. Okay, so what we've kind of gone from is this. We had our original polynomial. I'm going to write that out now. Okay, so there's our polynomial. Now after our long division, we worked out that we have this answer here, which is also, this answer here, which is also written up there. It's this is the same as that answer. That answer times by whatever we're dividing by. Okay, so we've started to factorize. We've got a quadratic factor and a linear factor as well. Quadratic factor because we have that x squared there, that's our highest power. Linear factor because x to the power of 1 is our highest power. Okay, now if you're not understanding that just yet in terms of this part, don't worry too much about it. I'm going to spend more time on that a little bit later. But as I said before, I want you to copy this part into your notes. So if the remainder is 0, the divisor is a factor of the polynomial we are dividing. Alright, so again, when I say the divisor, I mean this. When I say the polynomial, I mean this. Alright guys, have a go at the long division questions that are written in the lesson plan and the learning matrix that I'll give you as well. Once you've done that, please take a photo and put it in the appropriate section in the OneNote that's attached to Teams as well. I need you guys to make sure you're putting those in there. It's the same as when I check your books when you're doing tests. Okay, so I need to make sure that you've got them done so I can post onto Compass and give you your mark for your tests or the assessment that we're going to end up doing. Thanks guys.